days nothing goes your way. It's just one of those days. Just one of those days. The sun don't seem to shine, and you wish you could rewind and just go back to yesterday. It's just one of those days. Well, my wife called me up in tears and said she just rolled the car and she thinks it's dead. But it's just one of those days. Just one of those days. It's just one of those days, nothing goes your way. It's just one of those days. Well, I told my wife I'm feeling stressed. She said, we got a letter from the IRS. But it's just one of those days. Just one of those days. It's just one of those days, nothing goes your way. It's just one of those days. Just one of those days. The sun don't seem to shine, and you wish you could rewind and just go back to yesterday. It's just one of those. Just one of those days, the sun don't seem to shine, and you wish you could rewind and just go back to yesterday. It's just one of those. It's just one of those. I wake up in the morning, it's 5:03. I'm late for work again. Ten people. There we go. Ha 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 ha. I will get back to the. Testing, testing. All right, back to the intro. Sorry, everybody. Hey everybody, what's going on? Oh my goodness gracious. They're probably on their way to Callapalooza if they're not already there. So anyone that's listening or on their way to Callapalooza, you're probably tuning in right now, or if you're there, you probably aren't. You're probably booking into a hotel. But everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And you can already see on the screen who our guest is going to be this evening. It's been a long time coming. We did a mini episode, but we'll do a long one. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start this rodeo show. Here we go. Let's start with the intro music. This is Rilo's Quack Chat. As a call maker, I enjoy talking shop with other duck call makers. On this podcast, it's all about duck calls and duck hunting. From the marsh to the duck call shop, we're going to find the story behind the duck calls and the people that make them. This is Rilo's Quack Chat. Hey everybody, you are tuning into Rilo's Quack Chat. A podcast about duck hunting, duck calls, the story behind the duck calls, and this evening I'm really excited. Like I said, it's been a long time coming. I'm looking at the live stream. I'm seeing Logan from Iron and Oak. I am seeing Barry McCoy. How's it going, fellers? And man, my shirt was unbuttoned. I look like I'm a little scruffy this evening. Anyway, just to do an intro real quick, and we don't hear my neighbor's hound dogs. Here we go. So right now in the industry, I mean, I talked to a gentleman the other day and he was baffled when I told him there's such a thing as band brokers, people that are selling bands to people that literally wear them on their lanyards and act like they've been lie about shooting birds with bands. And right now there's people that have, in the world of duck call making, there are people that literally are coming out with calls that literally they can't do a podcast with me or even talk to me because they can't even explain the story of how they came up with this call because they don't even want to talk about it because it's a big secret. But these people are just coming out with calls, and are they stolen? Are they not? They won't talk about it. So it's very heartbreaking. For me, it's been very discouraging. It's been very hard to do a podcast because right now it's just kind of depressing, especially the duck hunting world, the call world. But there are some people that I have had. Why is the stream so wonky? No, but there's been so many. There's been a couple of people that I just look up to. I really respect as call makers. I've seen them through the last couple years making calls, or this gentleman, he makes decoys. I mean, if you ask him how did you get into something, he can show you the prototypes. He can show you the paper cutouts of how he did things. He's a from the beginning to the end type of guy. I mean, I respect him so much, and he's one of my fellow Louisiana call makers as well. Mr. Wes Looney, how are you doing, Wes?
Good, Riley. I appreciate you having me on tonight, bud.
Thank you. I'm sorry for the crazy long drawn-out intro, but there was a lot to cover there.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you, kind of scared me when you were talking about those people. I was like, man, he got me on this podcast. I'm about to get roasted all over social media.
No, you are one of, man, I've been following your calls for so long. I've been following recently the decoys you make. You're one of the real ones. So, there's call makers right now that make calls, and then there's call duplicators, I guess you would call them. So, and it's, as a call maker, it's very depressing, I would say. How are your feelings on it?
It's like anything else. When I first started, before I started doing the wedge and soundboard style calls, or LA style calls, I had a public jig, and I tried to do the J-frame thing, and you get good sounds out of it. And then I tried to do the flat jig thing, and I didn't have to get a haircut for quite some time because I was just constantly pulling out my hair. and then I discovered the LA style tone boards, and man, I just took to that like pig to mud, and I absolutely love it. And I don't think I'll ever do another J frame style call.
I've made a few, but man, Louisiana is just, oh man, there it's just so much fun to cut that tone board, and it has a feeling like no other. But it's just it's a fun tone board to mess with. Logan said, "Tell Wes I said walnut is king." Barry
Maybe
McCoy, go ahead.
Black walnut ice cream's okay, but not for wood, not for duck calls.
Oh, we can argue about that later here in a second. Matthew Sewell said, "Coots up." Judson Crump is watching. Hey, Judson. CC Will said, "Hey, y'all." He said, "South Carolina!" Exclamation marks. Bunch of them. But Wes, yeah, what's your deal with walnut, bud? What's your problem with it?
I like three types of woods. I like anything that's a burl. I like hedge, and I like cocobolo. Anything else is I'll turn it, but it ain't my favorite.
Walnut's my second favorite wood.
I turned a pretty good size order for a lady at church for Easter, and she specifically asked for walnut. So that was the first time I turned it in quite some time, and it was nice. But going back to some good hedge from Joplin, Missouri, from my good friend Aaron Way is always it's always a nice welcome home.
Yeah, yeah. Have you tried my favorite wood, hickory?
Yeah, believe it or not, I actually turned hickory. We had a big hurricane come through last September. We had a bunch of trees fall, and I salvaged what I could out of some stuff and turned that for bottle stoppers and stuff for folks. But I've never tried it for a duck call. I'm sure that would be some pretty good wood to turn.
Oh, it's just as hard as hedge. It sounds awesome. It's kind of got a little bit of a gravelly sound to it, so it's great. I love it. A lot of people don't use it, but I love it a lot. For Louisiana, it is absolutely perfect.
I'll have to give that a try. Then I think I got some more blocks sitting around the house.
Oh yeah, for Louisiana, I've for sure. You could even just make a hickory tone board and see how it sounds that way. You know what I mean? You
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, with a Louisiana style, you don't have to make the whole thing. With a Louisiana tone board, you can make it out of whatever and then sneak it in there and see what it does.
And that's the good thing about the Louisiana style tone boards. Once you get that bore size right, as far as your outside diameter of everything, man, they'll fit into anything, and I absolutely love it.
It's so funny because would you say that some call makers look at Louisiana tone boards as like a second class citizen?
I don't know. You see a lot of guys making J frames, and I admire their work. But I think there's a spot in this world for everybody. You got the metal reed guys; they're fanatical about it. You've got your J frame guys, your cut down guys, your LA tone board guys. And then you got your Echo stuffer guys. Those are, there's a spot for everybody.
You know what? Honestly, with this latest debacle, and we won't even go into it, I honestly, if you put an Echo stuffer in a call and you admit it's an Echo stuffer, I have no problem with you. When you are taking guts and sending them to Grassy Creek or having them molded by someone, literally taking someone else's guts, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're upfront with everybody, I mean, that's cool, But I can't remember what company it was, if you want to call it that. They're big on TikTok at one time. All the comments were like, "Hey, is this an Echo insert?" And he would reply, "Yes, this is an Echo insert, but it's custom tuned." No, they're not. They come with the wedge and the reeds already in it. I mean, it's
And here's the thing, and we need to move past this here in a second. I want to talk about your stuff, but you you awoken a monster about this custom tuned Echo. Okay, you're going to sit there and tell me that you took a tone board that Rick Dunn, one of the greatest call makers of all time, one of the best duck callers of all time, trained so many champion callers. He designed this tone board and then sends you reads that are pre-cut, because you and I both know with the problem we had with the J-frame, well, a problem I had, I don't know about you, but with the Louisiana, you can slide that tone board in and out and adjust the tuning. With the J-frame, you are stuck with what you got. So when that tone channel comes out to the end, that predetermines what that reed cut is going to sound like. Is it going to sound good, or is it going to sound like crap? So if you're making custom echoes, the echo cut, you're going to say that you can cut a reed better than one of the greatest duck call makers of all time, living duck call makers. Okay.
Yeah, you don't get Gordon Ramsay to make you a steak and then ask for A1 on the side. He's got it figured out.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, for sure. Except I don't think Rick Dunn would cuss you out like Gordon Ramsay would. So I don't know.
He seems like he's salt of the earth. I could be way wrong, but he seems like a pretty stand-up fella.
Yeah, and were you shocked like I was when he came out with that last video probably 8 months ago and he was turning on a Harbor Freight lathe? It's like, what? What's this?
Not at all. I mean, you look at Parks and Recreation, that show, that character Ron Swanson.
Oh yeah.
He said that a paper clip in his hand is more dangerous than a crossbow in this other guy's. It proves it's the Indian, not the arrow.
Yeah, you are definitely Wes the yeah, what was I just the analogy guru Looney. That's what your name is. Because you're coming up with so many good analogies. Wes, man, I'm going to pull up some of your calls. Here's the thing, though. I looked up ground swat. Have you not been updating your ground swat game calls with pictures?
I don't update that at all. I wish I had a bigger presence on social media, but there for a while it was like I was getting nothing but messages as far as from different Ducks Unlimited chapters. And when I first got comfortable with a call that I was good with putting out in public and standing behind, I mean, God, every Ducks Unlimited chapter, I'd basically bang on their door and try to give them something. And then it turned into, oh, we're having this event, can we get 3 calls? I'm like, hey, I'll donate 2. Can you buy 1? It turned into, well, no, because it's all going towards a good cause and this, that, and the other. And, we'll send you a t-shirt though. I still don't have the t-shirt, but so I got away from doing my quote unquote business page. But it seems like every other post I do on Facebook is either a Grateful Dead post, a duck call post, or a picture of my kids. So I try to stay active on my personal Facebook, but I definitely need to get more active on my business page.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll forgive you for the Grateful Dead thing.
Oh man, don't make me end this thing short. I'll
I'm trying to go ahead.
I could go on for days on why the Grateful Dead is the best music America ever came out with.
Oh my gosh. I am glad we are 2 duck call makers that have that in common. Have you made a Grateful Dead duck call yet?
Yeah, I've got actually 2 image barrels from Iowa Hunting Products sitting in my change dish right now. So I'll probably turn those up and then sell them to another burnout on Facebook and make somebody happy. Trade them for a grilled cheese or a burrito or something.
What's your favorite Grateful Dead song?
Oh man.
What's your album? What's your favorite Grateful Dead album? If you're just going to chill and listen to some Grateful Dead.
I don't want to be cliche, but Europe 72 is a good one. Working Man's Dead is a great album.
If you're making duck calls, are you listening to Grateful Dead, or what's your call making music?
Usually Grateful Dead. So that's when the calls start getting real groovy.
Oh, yuck. Chris just said Jerry for life. We don't listen to albums. Jeez Louise. I'm surrounded. I feel like Dark Helmet from Spaceballs, except instead of what he said, I'm saying deadheads. I'm surrounded by deadheads. Um, oh my gosh. Man, I just tried to go through your profile to find some of your calls, and all I'm seeing is bunch of baseball pictures.
So that's you're probably on the photos of me. Go to the if you go to the albums and then mobile uploads, I should have some listed on there.
Okay, albums. Sorry, everyone. I feel like unprepared. I had his business thing pulled up. I couldn't. There wasn't much there. Here we go. Here we go. I'll pull them up here in a second when I find your duck calls. So Wes, how long have you been duck hunting? Let's start there.
So my first duck hunt, I think I was 8 years old, and I went with my dad, one of his buddies, and then his nephew, and we were we were in a little farm pond, wood duck hole in South Carolina, and there was about an inch and a half of ice on the water. It was locked up, and I was wearing Walmart brand coveralls and boots, and I was absolutely miserable. And I told him, I was like, I will never go back. And then I started going again when I got into high school. So I'll say probably since I was 15, so 17 years now.
Wow. Wow. So you've been doing this way longer than I have. Way longer.
I've been
Go ahead.
a long time. I don't know if I've been killing ducks for a long time, but I've been going. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I found a couple pictures definitely of your design. Man, that's a great design. I'll pull it up here in a second. But so how long have you been making duck calls?
So I got my first lathe December of 2020.
Oh,
And
class of 2020. Okay.
yeah, I mean, just another COVID story. Um, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to turn duck calls, but I didn't ever think it would get to where I would be making my own stuff. I figured I would make, a few of the echo stuffer calls, and then I'd switch to ink pens and bottle stoppers like everybody else as far as wood turning goes. But I stuck with it, and I'm really happy I did, because I've made more friends doing this. And then, gosh, you start carving decoys, and you get a whole nother can of worms. And there's all something that we all have in common. We're all pretty much psychotic when it comes to waterfowl.
Oh no, Logan jumped in and said Jerry exclamation mark. Oh my gosh, I'm surrounded. Um after
Well, it's
this
like they said,
huh?
so we're everywhere, man.
After this I'm going to have to just lock myself in a room and listen to Metallica or something or Slayer or something just to help me out of this. But anyway, um man, yeah, so I'm looking, I think that's a woody call right there. Pure cedar woody call there. Yeah, but this design right here, this is like your design. Um, except I think you've been going more straight than angled lately. Haven't you kind of been getting away from the angled design?
Yeah, so the first calls that I started turning, once I could duplicate a shape, if that's the right verbiage. Um, my dad always had John Spots calls on his lanyard, so a lot of my early stuff was John Spots influenced. That sleek tapered barrel, kind of your straight barrel insert. That's what I usually. That's what I did probably the first 3 years, and then slowly drifting more towards the traditional side of waterfowling. I've gotten away from that, done straight barrels for probably close to 2 years now. Straight barrel, open mouthpiece, rounded on the edges. Just something quick and easy that I can duplicate each time. And I haven't had anybody complain. If a guy reaches out and says, "Hey, can I get a one of your older style calls?" Obviously I'll oblige. But for right now, for this run, I've been doing straight barrels.
And I like them. And what's interesting, what you do about those straight barrels is they're meaty. They're
Yeah,
really
you don't
meaty.
have these. Obviously, don't drop them on your garage floor. But if you drop them, in the truck or something, they're not gonna break. They're not thin walled.
You know what I don't think I've ever seen as meaty as yours are. Have you ever seen a duck call where the it's like yours is very like Cajun? I would say mine has Cajun influence. Some of my calls with that just straight barrel, straight insert. And honestly, when you are making Louisiana style tone boards, you're going to lean that way, right? But have you ever thought about like taking if you have like a square carbide and just taking that first where your lips are, like taking that down to where you just have that like bottom half is down just a little bit?
Yeah. So usually the outer diameter of most of my barrels are usually around 1 1/10 of an inch. So I mean, to do that, I mean, I could probably drop it down to 3/4 of an inch. That might be something worth doing. And worst case scenario, if I hate it, it's firewood. So.
And I did, I looked at that for a little while because my calls, the way they're designed, they have like a mouthpiece that's smaller.
Yeah.
If you did that, that would totally stand out. Like, I don't think I've seen many that are straight with a mouthpiece. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I won't do is I had a guy, he reached out and he said that he was a big fan of 737 calls. He wanted, I don't remember what he said he wanted, but he said he wanted that exact same shape to where it looked just like a 737. I was like, man, I've got no problem doing it, but I'm not going to sign it or post it on my own page. I don't look like I'm trying to rip off those guys.
Yeah, I have not had a request like that yet to where someone wants me to copy someone else. I don't think I'd do it.
I've done several old barrel replicas for guys that they'll get one of those KM kits or whatever, and they want a wooden barrel or they want this swirly acrylic barrel. Like I've got no problem doing that. I feel like there's a lot of guys on the market that do that now, but certainly not my design. I try to shake it up just a little bit to where you have your own little flair, kind of like tattoo artists. They're never going to take it. Hopefully, they don't take templates off Google and then do it, and they add or subtract a few things.
Yeah. I'm looking at a call right now, man. I love you have a call here with a copper band.
That's 99% of the bands, or just copper.
You just cut them out of copper pipe?
Yeah, straight from the plumbing section at Lowe's.
Yep. I used to do that. I don't do bands anymore. It's very rare to get a band on one of my calls. But I mean, that's just preference, I went more, I don't know, old school, but I mean, I noticed when you put a call with a band on beside a call without a band, you'll usually sell the call with a band. So.
Oh yeah, I mean people love the flair.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at this call. It's underneath the wood duck. What species do you have? Do you know what picture I'm talking about? What kind of wood is that?
Where are we at, Riley?
It looks like a wood duck decoy mount by some ferns and an old crock. And it's like a brown, I would say maybe koa.
Oh, no. That was I know what you're talking about now. That should have been a Coca-Bolo call I made for my dad.
That's Coca-Cola?
If I'm not mistaken, I haven't taken too many pictures with his mount.
Man, that's dark. That's like if that's it looks more like Bacote. Like, have you ever gotten a piece of Bacote that's like really dark to where
Oh
like
yeah.
it
Well, with my
shouldn't
wood
be?
calls, man, I soak them for 24 hours in linseed oil, so
Do
they'll
you
darken.
really?
Yeah, it's mainly because I forget about them, and I come back in the shop and I'm like, oh shoot, I got to get those out. But yeah, I like an oil soak personally.
Are you just straight oil or do you do something else?
I'll do oil and wax probably 99.9% of the time. Every now and again, I'll get froggy and I'll try to do a CA, and then I realize why I do oil. I'm just not a CA finish guy.
Have you tried putting shellac over the oil before your wax?
I have not.
Oh, Wes. Oh boy, you gotta try that one.
Shellac over the oil, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
But so I'll do like oh my gosh, I'll do so much oil. I'll oil the call and then I'll put about full 5 layers of shellac on it and then let it dry and then I'll hit it with wax. And then
okay.
just put I mean you can I have sometimes I'll throw my barrels in a crock pot of wax and oil, but sometimes most of the time I'll just literally melt the wax on top of the call and then just put a rag on it, heat it up and just melt it right there. But that shellac gives it just like an extra coating and makes it shiny.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got that picture pulled up now on your live stream, and that's that Coca Bolo call I made for Dad.
That's the darkest Coca-Cola I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, I tell Aaron Way what I want, and every single time he has delivered.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Let's see here. I like the picture of the old school stuff. Harley chicks. Okay. No, that's all I see of the calls. But yeah, your designs are very distinct. I'm trying to find
Oh,
your
yeah. You're,
decoys.
you're in my cover photos. You start going through there, people are gonna start praying for me. In my early 20s, I was a rascal.
All right, which one should I go through here? Profile pictures.
Let's do. Good grief.
I just want to get some of your decoys, man.
Yeah, it won't be under profile pictures. Here, scroll down.
Okay.
Here, go to Wes's photos, right where your clicker was.
Okay.
Go back up.
I thought that's Wes's photos.
Yeah, go the right there. Yeah. All
Okay.
right, now you put more peanut oil.
There we go. There we go.
That third picture is a picture of me and Jerry playing guitar a couple weeks ago. So it's not AI or anything.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude, totally.
Yeah. I didn't know you played guitar. You played guitar?
I do. Yeah.
I think all duck call makers play guitar, if not half of them.
You got to have an ear for it. So
Are you going to before we look through some of these pictures? And everyone, sorry about the Harley chicks. It was just trying to go go through everything here. Here, this is a perfect picture. This design right here, that's like your design right now. Like if I see that, I immediately know it's Wes Looney.
yep, straight barrel, 1 inch copper band, LA tone board, man.
And you're going like an inch and a quarter here on the barrel?
That's gonna be probably about an
Inch and
1 point.
16th, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, just barely over an inch, just enough to where it's bigger than the band.
See,
The lane.
that's so I don't think there's anyone doing everyone either does like this, the Duck Commander, they do this bottom here with this groove. I do some of those, but very few do these. Very few. If I ever see this call, I'm like, that's a Wes Looney for sure. Yeah, and then let's talk about these. This is your latest thing, isn't it? Your decoys?
Oh yeah, canvas over wire.
Oh man, tell me more. So you almost have me sold into making a couple of these.
I'm good friends with a lot of decoy carvers, and their names speak for themselves, and they all tell me, man, you got to switch to cork. You got to switch to cork, but it's I don't want to compare it to the J-frame duck call, but there's a lot of guys doing cork, and I just kind of like being different. I'm stubborn. So, and this was unique to the Carolinas during the early 1900s. So anything that I can do to try to preserve a little bit of our heritage, I'm obviously going to do it.
Yeah.
So, and plus the real reason is I'm all thumbs when it comes to a draw knife. I couldn't make something that looked like a duck. So I found out about this style, and I kind of ran with it, and you draw your own templates and you go from there.
That's awesome. That was awesome. Yeah, I love I love that. That's so cool. I'm definitely gonna have to make one. I mean, are they that? I can literally look at them and I can tell how much work goes into them. But I mean, how long would you say it takes to go from beginning to the end with these?
So if I start out with regular lumber all the way till a finished product, now that I've made the switch to acrylic paints, big shout out to John Ketchum for getting me to pull my head out of my butt and get away from oils. I can get one done within 3 hours, start to finish. And that's cutting it out, nailing the frame together, putting the wires across, stretching the canvas, and painting and sealing.
Man, that's awesome. Are you going to try to hunt over a full canvas rig this year?
I am. So I'll have 2 mallards, 2 woodies, a hooded merganser, and then a Canada goose.
Yeah, Matthew said, look at that majestic mud hen, the most noble of ducks. Hey, don't be hating on the coots.
Hey, Matt, if it was up to Matt, the coot would be king. He's a coot fanatic, and he's another canvas bird guy. He's helped me out a whole lot. So I feel like I owe him. I don't know if I need his bank account or what, but I owe him more than I can give.
I need to talk to Matthew about coots. And is he a coot hunter? Does he hunt coots?
So I won't tell his story, but he's got it's an awesome story on why he carves coots. If you get a chance to talk to him, send him a message, man. He's an active duty Marine, and I won't hold that against him. I guess the Navy recruiter was closed that day, but he had a fellow Marine that they went out and a huge raft of coots swam in, and they laid waste to him. And like I said, the rest of the story is his to tell. I wouldn't want to butcher it, but he's the coot commander.
That's awesome. Yeah, Matthew, I'll be getting with you soon to talk to you about coots. I love coots. I love hunting coots. I think that people need to. I think there needs to be more of a season on coots. Honestly, I think they should have their own season, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm looking at these. These are absolutely awesome. Maybe we can find. Is there a picture of it finished? Is this a merganser or wood duck? This is a wood duck.
Well, the picture right there is a mallard.
Well, I'm sorry. I've on the stream. I've probably already changed.
Yeah, that'll be a wood duck.
That's awesome. Have you finished that one yet?
Not yet. I've got the head cut out and I'm carving on it.
That is cool. That is so cool. Um, so here's the question: when you're doing like I'm looking at the picture of the wood duck here, did you get that from an actual wood duck, or did you just trace that out?
So that is, I'll look at pictures on Google and I'll find different head shapes I like,
Uh huh.
and then I'll copy it from there. And
Nice.
then, like I said, you make your own little spins and twists and turns and go from there.
Nice. That is cool. That is cool. I'm going to have to just make one, at least one. That is neat. Um, that is cool. So Wes, I mean, so what's the plan this year? I mean, you're making your calls, you're making some of these decoys. I mean, uh, are you kind of like what I like to do? I mean, my goal is to hunt with my own calls over my own decoy layout with my own dog. I mean, are you wanting to do everything yourself?
I am. I'm 30. I'll be 32 in June, and I'm kind of past. Don't get me wrong, a tailgate full of ducks is always welcome, but I'm kind of past that point in my life. Give me enough ducks to where I can have dinner that night, and I'm happy. So I just wanted to start carving my own birds and look for a new aspect of the sport.
Yeah.
I staffed with Mojo for a couple years, and I mean, if you walked into my garage right now, half of it is white cedar canvas birds, and then the other half is, I mean, these spinning wings and these tippers and dippers and twirlers and spinners and vibrators, and it's like, man, we're why have we done all this to try to confuse a bird with a pea-sized brain?
Yeah.
I think Fred Bear always said the best camouflage is to sit still and shut up. I mean, and I think there's probably a lot of guys that'll argue with me, but I think more of that stuff is just to attract other hunters than actual birds.
Yeah. Barry McCoy asked, do you make different style calls for the different ducks or one style? Thank you for the question, Barry.
Yeah, hey Barry. So the picture that Riley's got beside him right now, that's one of my mallard calls. I make mallard calls and wood duck calls right now. So, and then I think this is actually mine and Riley's first interaction together. He had posted a teal call on TikTok and asked for feedback, and I said I usually just try to blow the reeds out of a mallard call. So I probably need to come up with a teal call, but right now I'm having too much fun churning out what I can, and Lord knows I get too far behind with what I've got between a full-time job, being a husband, being a dad to a 4-year-old, and this. Not enough hours in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll talk to you about that later, cuz or about teal calls if you're wanting to get into that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, it's fun. It's just another thing to make. I thought you made goose calls.
So I'll use the short reed guts from Webfoot, and then I've got a goose flute that I'm almost comfortable with sending out there, but right now it's still in the very final stages of prototyping. This is my first year using it, so had pretty good success with it.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I got the picture of the cute decoy with just bare wires and wood. Man, I just love that. That's the I was talking to a gentleman about I had heard he had shot a lot of birds and all this stuff, and I was over at his house. I think we had some Labrador pups, and I looked inside, and there were blue heron decoys, And I'm like, and there were some other like coots and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, that's a big secret. He's like, those confidence decoys work out very well.
My first experience with coot decoys was when I was stationed at Naval Base San Diego. We would drive north and we would hunt the WMAs on the Marine Corps base at Camp Pendleton. And I mean, gosh, there were rafts of coots. And if you had mallard decoys out, you were kind of keying in the wind, as they say. We went out,
Go ahead.
and once we figured out that they were hanging with coots, we would spray paint a bunch of half-gallon milk jugs, and we just started smoking.
Nice. Matt Wongry, Daddy Duck asked, besides calls and decoys, do you make anything else duck hunting related?
So yeah, I do. I make paracord lanyards. That's how I got my first start into the waterfowl industry, and I did that for a couple years, and then that slowly died off, and then I got into making calls, and now I even make I'll make lantern boxes, both
Ooh,
decorative and functional. So I used it for the first time this year, and that was a lot of fun. Kind of just not necessarily stepping back in time, but kind of seeing how they did it. And I've got a single shot 12 gauge, 1917, and I think my shoulder's still bruised from that. But just being able to have your own rig, and your lantern box, and your paddling out, it's kind of peaceful. Gets away from the mud motors and turtle boxes. So.
oh yeah, I bet that. Yeah, now you turned me on to these lantern boxes. I'm gonna have to look into them. Was there that one picture of the lantern box? Was that yours?
Which one?
Was there a picture of one of your lantern boxes?
There should be one on my Facebook somewhere.
Okay.
On the cover photos, there was a drawing of one. That
Oh,
was
okay.
definitely. Goodness.
Yeah, look at those calls. Wait, this is a coyote howler here.
So that one, that's actually my wife's best friend's dad is a big elk hunter,
Oh,
and that's
elk.
just an open reed elk call.
Very cool. Very cool. Look at that straight design. That's absolutely. Where'd you get this? Is this Illuminite or acrylic?
So I get most of my acrylic from Beartooth wood.
Oh. Okay, that makes sense. Because that is not. I don't think I've ever seen that color with Deadshot or Spartak. I may be wrong.
No, I think it's called like burgundy velvet or something, and then the inserts tuxedo black.
Oh, it's so shiny. Jeez Louise, it's shiny.
A good wet sand on an acrylic is hard to beat.
That's awesome. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, here's the cork decoy. Is this your cork decoy?
Yeah, I had that sent to me. It was a beginner carving set from Dr. John Ketchum. He's on Facebook, and man, his birds look like they'll crap in your living room floor. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful. He sent me that and trying to get me to start carving cork, and I'm working on that now. That's going to be a Father's Day gift from the old man. So.
Nice. Yeah, cork is just, it's cool, man. Yeah. What was I going to ask you? Oh, I can't think of it. I've got Matt Wongry says I want one. He was probably talking about the duck call. Or were you talking about the decoy map? I can't think of what I was going to say. Have you thought about coming up to Reelfoot eventually in October?
Yeah, eventually. I think if I can convince my wife, there's plenty of family stuff to do up there, and maybe invest in a good pair of headphones for her. You know, we went to the Southeastern Wildlife Expo in Charleston, and she had all the entertainment she could stand that day. The eye rolls set enough, but it would definitely be a fun trip to make it there. I'd love to go to Kallapalooza one day, but good grief, out there, I mean, that's a whole different world in Arkansas.
Well, let me tell you, it's a whole different world in Reelfoot, especially. I would like to go to Kallapalooza. I mean, I think Kallapalooza is going there. People are getting there right now. So, I mean, it's a big deal, but Reelfoot is more, it's been around longer. Man, it's just so easygoing. I mean, but the night before the duck call competition, the call maker competition, they'll be blowing duck calls till 2 in the morning.
Good grief.
Oh yeah, there's people sitting on tailgates of trucks or sitting around fires, and the first year I went, I think it was Brian Byers was sitting on the back of a truck and he was tuning his metal reeds. And everyone tunes their calls, but then they get down there and someone's going, you need to stand here, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, and they're helping you adjust your call. And it's I mean, it was 2 years ago. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. We went down with we were at a bunkhouse with Josh and Sean Lynn and Logan Revolt and Josh Parmer, and Josh brought his calls, and Sean was like, you need to stand here, you need to stand there, like helping him tune in his calls. And man, I'll tell you what, they were just screaming by the time he was done, helping Josh adjust a little bit, So it's cool. It's a great experience.
Oh, I think anytime you get call makers together, the ones you can socialize with, and then there's others that, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, up there it's easygoing, man. I mean, I get along with everyone at Reelfoot. Everyone gets along. It's just great. It was funny, the year I did go, one of the guys fell asleep in the tulip bed at the Eagle's Nest, and the owner came out and was like, why is so-and-so, I don't even think he was drinking, he just decided to sleep in the tulip bed. And she came out all mad. She's like, who's sleeping in the tulips? And then it was like this well-known duck call carver. And I'm like, where's so-and-so? They were supposed to be here. And they're like, you see that guy sleeping in the tulip bed? That's him. I'm like,
Jeez.
What? But it's funny. There's some characters. Matt Wongry was asking, Wes, have you tried or do you have a cut down? Josh Lynn is watching.
Yeah.
Josh, we were just talking about the time I was with my dad, and I were down at the bunkhouse with you and Sean. That was fun. Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, I've got a cut down kit that I'll do. It's just like the Kirk McCullough kits you can buy, and I'll pair those with a wooden barrel or acrylic barrel for that matter, whatever you want. I don't do those too many. I'm not a big cut down guy. I think there's a special place for them. I think the guys that can run them are second to none. I wish I had the air power to do that, but you smoke in your early 20s for a couple of years, and you deflate your system a little bit.
You need to go hang out with the Iron and Oak guys and get the metal reed bug.
Oh, that's the last bug I need to get. I got the lanyard making bug, and then I got the duck call bug, now the decoy bug. I keep telling everybody, like, the next step is making boats, and if you see me doing that, just go ahead and yell at me. It just ain't worth it,
Yeah, making boats. I think that would be the. Yeah, after that, I think you'd have to book into a rehab.
Like I love Dale Bordelon. He had a young fella that he and him made a Cypress hero, and that was cool to follow along, and that's a labor of love for sure. God bless him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's man, when you do things old school like that, it's just um it takes time. You're investing your time and but at the end of the day, you have something that you can literally pass down to your grandchildren and great grandchildren. So I think Dale has like 100-year-old cut or Piro, dugout Piro. So I mean, they last forever.
Yeah, Dale doesn't know it yet, but I'm gonna slip down to his shop one day, and I'm gonna trade him a decoy. I don't know what I've got to do, but he's gonna have one of mine, and I'm gonna have to take one of his. So I don't know if I got to sweeten the deal, attach a couple of $100 bills to the duck, but that's one that needs to be in my collection.
Yeah, he's so good at. And what did you think? Because I mean, you and I appreciate what he's doing a little bit differently than most people, because people are like, oh, he's doing things traditionally with the cane and blah blah blah. But you and I appreciate it because he's probably one of the top LA tomeboard guys. What did you think of these bamboo reeds he started using?
I've been following Dale since he's been doing the Ace combs. So, I mean, I've watched him grow from Ace combs to Mylar to now it's bamboo reeds for certain calls. I think it's great. I mean, if you can preserve your state's history and culture, if you're not doing that, you're doing a discredit to the industry you're in.
Right. If your state has history or culture. I mean, there are some states that, like Indiana, in the 20s, Indiana killed our duck hunting culture when they drained all of the Kankakee Marsh. So, but I mean, you're right. When you get down to Louisiana, and then you guys have some history in South Carolina. I mean, when you get to those states, I think you're obligated to do some of that stuff just to keep up the traditions for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're not, I mean, golly, I feel like I stay in books these days. I mean, just the not just the market hunting that went on in South Carolina, but just the duck clubs that were formed and how WMAs came about in South Carolina and all that fun stuff, and even the history of the wood duck. I mean, the wood duck was almost hunted to extinction in the early 1900s due to land clearing and overhunting, and then now that's our primary bird that we harvest in South Carolina due to the efforts of the Migratory Bird Act, the Lacey Act, and nesting boxes. So if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So
yeah. Well, Wes, thank you so much for calling in and finally being a official guest on the podcast. I mean, you've done a couple call-ins, so I really appreciate it, man.
Man, no, I appreciate you having me. Like I said, we've been talking about doing this for about a year, and I think the stars finally aligned. Both of our schedules opened up, so that was nice.
Yes. If anyone is wanting to get their hands on one of your calls, one of your decoys, one of your lanyards, one of your lantern boxes, whatever, the things you do, maybe put an order on one of those boats you're eventually going to make. Like, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, just hit me up through my personal Facebook, send me a message, and I'll give you my personal phone number, and we'll chat it up. I like to tell people every decoy, every call, every whatever is a history lesson with every purchase. So that's whether you want it or not.
Nice. Well, Wes, are you ready for the last 3 questions?
I am beyond.
Oh, you've prepared?
I hope so.
Okay. So if you could go back in time and do a hunt all over again, what would it be?
Okay, that would be the Veterans Hunt of February 2021. Without a doubt, I would have brought a boat seat pad for the boat I was in. Fun fact: I broke my tailbone in the Navy. It is extremely painful to sit on aluminum John boat seats. Um, it was just before shooting light, and I had to rotate from the left side of my butt cheek to my right. And when I did that, a huge roost of geese jumped up probably 20 yards in front of us, and we just didn't see them. There was probably 30 birds. Um, I wish I could redo that. We wound up killing 6 wood ducks that morning, so the hunt wasn't a bust, but it would have been nice to have some geese, make some sausage out of. That would be the only hunt I would redo.
Nice. Now, if you could either go back in time and sit in a blind with Phil Robertson, Butch Richenbach, and Tim Grounds, or sit and play guitar with Jerry Garcia, what would you do? Which one?
Oh man, good question. What era, Jerry?
You messed yourself up when you told me that you prepared. We're going off script.
It's mid '80s Jerry when he was clean. I'm going away, but I would love to share a duck blind with any of those 3 gentlemen. I think all 3 of them are salt of the earth.
Yeah. So
I would share a duck blind with Phil, and then I would like to hunt a goose in grounds.
Mm-hmm. Now, to the actual question, what 3 people would you be in a blind with? Living, deceased, family, friends, heroes, who would it be?
Could I pick and choose their time frame?
Yes,
when
you
they
can.
were.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would pick my dad when he was in college. I've heard the stories. He was a wild man. Golly, that's a good question too. I got 2 more. Probably, God, not to sound cliche or to beat a dead horse, but I'd like to hunt with Phil Robertson.
Yep.
And then probably Kurt McCullough when he was guiding. I think he stirred the pot a lot. I like listening to all of his stories and his shenanigans. I think you either loved him or you hated him. So I'd like to hunt with those 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Oh, for sure. Man, I think about that question every time I ask you guys that question, and it's changed so many times for me. I mean, it's to the point now that, I listened to an episode, I think it was of Unashamed, and Alan talked about Phil seeing Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, and Steven Tyler brought up how he used his duck call hunting with someone. And it's like, Steven Tyler, what? So it's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing the people you never thought went duck hunting at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's the cool thing to do. I was listening to a podcast, and I think Bryce Decker was on with Ramsey Russell, and I mean, they brought up turkey hunting. I think that's going to be the next cool guy thing to do. I think we'll probably get our woods back. Maybe we can get some of those guys to go chase turkeys and leave our birds alone.
I don't know. Maybe. Some of the deer hunters I got into duck hunting, some of them have kind of shifted to turkey or big game. So I don't know. I think you're correct.
I'll tell anybody that asks, I'm the reason they invented safety harnesses. You put me 12 feet up in a tree, and I doze off. I get to that last ladder, man. It's like I got shot with a tranquilizer.
That's funny. So the last question, if you could stand over any call maker's shoulder of all time and watch him make a duck call, who would it be?
I've got two. Brad Samples. He lives in the town over. We've never reached out and linked up. And then Lane Dunning from Missouri. I think that dude, he makes an incredible call. And the things he can do with a duck call, I mean, that's almost illegal in 30 states. At that point, you feel bad for the birds.
Yeah, and he just reinforces that statement of you can only make a duck call to the best of your ability as a caller. Because he makes a great call. He may not make the greatest call, but when you listen to him, you're like, that's the greatest call of all time. So he can operate it just to where there's no question.
I love the guys that stand behind a lathe. I mean, the list goes on and on with call makers, but these guys are standing behind a lathe, whether it's from Harbor Freight or a jet lathe or whatever. They have a block of wood that is useless, and they do what they need to do, and then that thing just absolutely sings. And to me, that's the greatest satisfaction out of all this. I don't want to get on a soapbox, but I mean, whether you're, brand new at it or you're, Rick Dunn, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I still get goosebumps every time, a call acts right when it leaves the shop.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, Wes, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. We've just been trying to get our schedules to match up. So, man, I really appreciate you coming on.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Anytime you're ever down south, man, come on by. We'll put some pork on the smoker, and we'll get something going.
You know what? Honestly, I need to make a Rilo's Quack Chat South Carolina tour, because it used to be Louisiana was like not the duck capital, but it was the duck call maker capital of the world. I personally feel like, because you had all the cane call makers, you had Sonny Kirkpatrick, you had the Haydales, you had Phil Roberts, and you had all these people down there. And it felt like the capital duck call maker capital. And it feels like it's moved to South Carolina with as many of you guys are down there now.
We got the most duck call makers and the fewest ducks in the country. So do the math on that one.
Isn't that hilarious? That's so funny. Well, Wes, if you don't mind, just stay on the podcast or stay on the line now. I'll close the podcast out real quick.
All right, buddy. Thanks again, Riley. Y'all take care and God bless.
Thank you. So everyone, real quick, I just want to say a couple things. Here in a day or so, I'll be coming out with a mini episode. I'm going there. So on the Buzzsprout, Rilo's Quack Chat Buzzsprout, you can actually send me a text, and it comes up to me as fan mail, but I just call it friend mail because I don't like the word fans. But anyway, I've been getting some messages from you guys, so I'm going to read one of those and then talk about it a little bit. And everyone, if you are on Buzzsprout, if you have a question for me or anything, just shoot a text through that just a little message deal on Buzzsprout, and you can contact me directly. So the gentleman that messaged me from Longview, Texas, I will be reading your message. Everyone that reads, or everyone that sends me a message on there, send me your phone number or your email so I can write you back. That's the only bad thing about that thing. I dislike it because there's no way for me to contact you back. So leave your email, your phone number, or something so I can text or email you back. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Rilo's Quack Chat. We will be back on soon.